So it's finally happened, and it's everything we wanted it to be. So this is another Bivvy review, but if I'm honest, it's probably one of the most anticipated products of this year. Even if it's not for you, it is for me and Curly. We've been using these Bivvies for a couple of years now, the original AXS, not the camo, and to be honest, we can't really fault them. So when we heard a camo version was coming out, we had to get on it. Let's have a look, see what you think. So we first heard that Sonik were bringing out a camo version of the AXS Bivvy probably a good year or so ago, but because of COVID and because of Brexit, we haven't actually been able to get our hands on them. But they are now in stock and they're available to you guys as well. So here's a kind of first look at the camo version of this Bivvy, and we've wanted to get our hands on one from the second we heard about them, because me and Joe have been using the AXS Bivvy for a couple of years now, obviously the normal version, and to be honest, we've only got good things to say about them. So to hear that Sonik were bringing out a new version, then we had to get our hands on them. And there's not actually a lot of difference between this and the original one, because this isn't seen as a V2 or anything like that. It is just a camo version. So obviously the main difference is going to be the material, but they have done a couple of little tweaks as well, which is kind of welcome changes over the first version. So let's jump into it. Let's see what you get in the box. Okay, so as we all know with Sonik, they are pretty fair when it comes to getting your money's worth. The AXS Bivvy is no different, and you really do get everything you need. So instead of having just a Bivvy and then having to buy extras, you get everything within the kit. So you get the 48-inch storm poles, you get multiple door options, you get heavy duty ground sheet, heavy duty tent pegs, and then obviously the Bivvy itself. So all of that in the kit. So it's not like you've got to buy the ground sheet separately if you want it. You don't have to buy the front infill panel separately. You get everything for the price stated. Now, if you like this sort of content, but you want to see that a little bit more, maybe behind the scenes, maybe some outtakes, we are actually now on TikTok, and that's where all that sort of content is going to be going. So make sure you follow us, CARPology Official, on TikTok. So when it comes to setting up the Bivvy, it is a nice simple process, and if you have ever set up one of the original AXS Bivvies, again, it's going to follow the same process as that. If you haven't, then it's simply a case of taking the Bivvy out of the bag, putting all the legs together, they just simply click into place, and then splaying out the legs using the spreader block. Once you've done that, you've got a couple of poles on the front, put them into the block, and then that takes shape of the actual Bivvy. You've then got a tension strap which clips from one side to the other to obviously tension it and give it the shape, and then it's simply a case of pegging everything in, using the storm poles at the front to give you even more support, and then you're good to go. Obviously, if you want to have the different door options, then you can do that once it's set up. But like I said, a nice simple process, and it genuinely takes about a minute once you're on the bank. So once you get the hang of it, it is super easy and makes it nice and easy to move if you want to as well. So obviously one of the biggest selling points of the new camo Bivvy is the camo pattern, and I think it's fair to say that Sonik have got that absolutely bang on. And the nice thing is you don't need to worry about the material that has been used, because it is exactly the same material as the original AXS. So it's made from a cloud-based material, and this has the 10,000mm hydrostatic head. So nice and waterproof. Let's give it a quick test. You can see it literally just runs off and beads nicely. So super waterproof material. And I know the term 10,000mm is banded around a lot, but in case you don't know what it means, it basically means that you can have 10,000mm of water stacked on top of it before any water actually starts to kind of leak through. So that's a hell of a lot of water. We're never going to have that sort of rainfall in the UK. Well, I don't know, based on this summer, but yeah, it's going to keep you nice and dry in whatever the elements throw at it. As you can see, it's all just beading nicely on top and even just running away now. So it's going to dry out nice and quickly as well. So if you're doing work overnighters, get a bit of rain, then you haven't got to worry in the morning. As long as it's dried up a little bit, then the Bivvy itself will dry out quite quickly. The other thing to make this even more waterproof for you is the integrated front peak, and that has a rain drip guard as well. So that runs all the way along the front of the peak, and then that stops any rain actually running over the edge. It just makes all the rain run just down the sides of the peak. So it's gonna stop any rain dripping in front of you when you're sitting in the Bivvy in torrential downpours. So yeah, in terms of waterproofing, it's got everything you need. If we move on to the build quality of the poles, they're actually made from a high quality lightweight aluminium, and they're actually an anti-twist design as well, so when it comes to setting it up, it makes it a lot easier. You haven't got to worry about material being twisted or anything like that, because there's only one way that it can actually click into place. So again, going back to the setup, it does make it a super easy bivvy to set up. I think it's fair to say that I am a little bit of a Camo AXS fanboy. I love it so far, but what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. What would you change? What do you like? What don't you like? So with a bivvy like this, obviously you want it to be quite flexible, because conditions on every session are different and they can change during the session as well. So it needs to be easy to adapt it, and the access definitely is nice and simple. As you can see at the back here, we've got a couple of quite big vents, and they're nice and easy to use. They simply Velcro in place. If you want to roll them up, then roll them up, and then you've got a couple of toggles just under this flap here as well, and then that gives you a nice big mesh vent behind it. If you don't want to use it, obviously it's simply a case of just whipping it back down and then Velcroing back in place. Now this little flap at the back here is actually an addition to the camo version, and it just gives you that extra protection. So if it is raining quite hard and you've got rain running down, it just gives you that protection on the vent as well. So it'll just stop the rain kind of running into any of the seams or anything like that. So it's just a second layer of protection more than anything. If we move around to the front, then I'll show you the different door options and then the vent options on the front as well. Okay, so as you'll see, either side of the door there are a couple more vents, and these are slightly different to the ones at the back. Whereas the rear one's Velcro in place, these ones actually zip in place, and there is Velcro along the bottom, but you have got a zip that runs parallel to the door, so it makes it nice and easy to get everything nice and neat. If you do change your mind and you want to put them back into place and cover up the mesh, then simply zip them down and then the Velcro just falls into place afterwards. Now moving on from that, we've got the door with the different door options, and as you can see, to start with, we've got the panel in place, so obviously it's nice and waterproof that way. You've then got underneath that a clear panel or a clear door option, and underneath that you've got mesh as well. So if it is a really hot sunny day, then you can have mesh panels throughout the whole bivvy, or if it is absolutely chucking it down, then you can have the full panels in and no rain or anything like that is going to get through. So it is really a versatile bivvy that can cater for any of the conditions. Again, one step further, you don't even have to use the front panel at all. So this can be used more as a shelter sort of setup, and the front panel can completely unzip, or if you want the flexibility, then all of the panels, so the door can roll up and then the two side panels can roll into place and then be pegged back as well. So it gives you loads of versatility. So if you're, say you're fishing in autumn, but it's a really warm autumn day and you want a complete view, then you can roll everything back, but at night obviously you've still got the panel with you, so you can bring everything back into play. That way you don't have to worry about thinking, do I take the front or not? If you want it more over summer just as a shelter and you want to save weight, then you can take the whole front panel off knowing that you're not going to be needing it. So it's really nice, you've got essentially a shelter and a bivvy all in one. We then move on to the inside and we'll have a look at the size, and I think it's fair to say that this is probably one of the bigger one-man bivvies on the market, which is why me and Joe have been so keen on this, because we've always got loads of camera kit with us on top of our fishing kit as well. So to have a one-man bivvy which does have that little bit of extra room, it really has been beneficial, and that's why we haven't really looked for anything else, because it is bang on size wise. Now from side to side it is 2.6 meters, from front to back it is 1.75 meters, and from floor to ceiling it is 1.37 meters. So it's a little bit higher than most, a little bit longer and just a little bit wider. So that means that fitting in decent sized bed chairs, you've got loads of room, you're not touching end to end. Even if you've got big sleep systems and that sort of thing, you've got that room either side. And it also gives you loads of room in the front as well. So on the left hand side here, I've got quite a decent sized camera bag. Normally if I'd have my fishing kit, then I'd have my carry-all down this side as well. So it's got loads of room, you've got loads of room under your chair as well. And then thanks to the flat back design, it allows you to push the bed chair right to the back. So again, increasing that room at the front. At the moment, obviously I've got it completely open, but even with the front on, that doesn't encroach at all. If anything, it gives you that little bit more room, or a little bit more protected area, I guess. So overall, yeah, you've got loads of room inside, you've got decent headroom, which I think is why it's been quite popular with Joe as well, because obviously he's that bit taller. I think he's 6'1", and again, he still doesn't touch the top. That's 6'1" without the curls, so he's about 9 foot with that. So again, loads of room inside, and it's a really practical bivvy for either short sessions, quick overnighters, or even if you're doing a longer session, because you've then got that room as well. Overall, the whole system, if you were to use the ground sheet, have all the pegs with you, the storm poles, the front, everything, weighs in at just 9.2 kilos. So again, it's not even a really heavy bit of kit for the features and the benefits that you're getting from it. So like I say, I've been using the original AXS Bivvy for a couple of years now, and I can't really fault it. And to be honest, this is the same, but just that little bit better. So you've got the nicer pattern, you've got the little bit of protection on the rear vents, so you can't really go wrong with it at all. And I'll definitely be putting my order in to get myself a nice new one, and I know Joe will be as well. If you want any more information about this AXS Camo Bivvy, head over to the Sonik website. But for now, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.